Mm-hmm.
Love that energy. All right, welcome back to your second session, your second official session of the Rise Parenting course. You want to make sure that you have your materials ready. You're cultivating a resilient young mind textbook, your class journal, your writing utensil, and your homework for last week. I check homework. I don't just give homework just to give it. I give it because it's practice. All right. Today, this is the agenda. We're gonna do an icebreaker slash check-in. I want to make sure how you're feeling, how your week went. Then we're gonna do a fire starter to set the context for our lesson for today. Then I'm gonna give you your mini lesson. We're gonna do an activity, and then we're gonna reflect, and I'll tell you what your homework is for this week. All right. Remember, it's a safe space for storytelling. That is the way that we're practicing. I'm providing different structures and ways for you to tell your story, talk about your feelings honestly, and that is biblical. And I stand in Revelations 12:11. We overcome him by the blood of the Lamb, the word of our testimony. All right. So here's the icebreaker. If you got kids, if you ever did TV, if you ever did any type of team building, you should have heard this game before. It is called Teachers and a Lie. Here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna write in the chat three facts about yourself. In fact, but not in fact, but instead of one of the three facts, gotta be a lie. So you're gonna write three facts about yourself. Two of them are going to be true. One of them is going to be a lie. It could be in any order. And then we're going to take turns to guess the lie. So I'm going to give you 1 minute. I'll participate with you. You're going to write three facts about yourself. Two of them have to be true. One of them lie in any order. And then we're going to take turns guessing. All right. 30 more seconds. You're writing these things in the chat, by the way. You don't need to write it in your notebook. Oh, my mind. So don't overthink it. Ten more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, come on, firm. We want you to be fully engaged with us, not thinking about your answer. That's Ashley. No, type in your answer in the chat. Everyone's answer has to be locked in so we can all be focused. Gotcha. Thank you, love bug. All right, so I'm first. Miriam, why don't you read out what my three facts are?
She likes the color green and she loves dancing.
You gotta start over because you kind of cut out. I don't know if
Oh.
it's just me, but I didn't hear you in the beginning.
So, Simone grew up in Brooklyn. She likes the color green and she loves dancing.
All right, which one you think is a lie? You got unmute Ashley. I saw you mouth moving, but
That you love the color green.
I think that's a lie. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a lot too.
Why I
I
think that's a lie?
I think that your favorite color is probably purple. A lot of your branding uses purple.
That's a very good observation. I like that explanation. Miriam, why you say you don't think so?
I got some great joy videos of you dancing, and I know that you grew up in Brooklyn.
Oh, okay, so it's like process of elimination. I like that. So the lie is I do not like the color green. However, my favorite color is blue.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
But that was a good explanation. The color purple is significant because when
Where
I
is it?
started Resilient Young Minds, my nonprofit, the color purple I learned represented what people at war, when they are harmed physically at war, traumatized, or like not traumatized, but like are injured at war. They get something called a Purple Heart to honor their service and the fact that they were injured in the line of duty. And so, because people who've experienced trauma, they've been injured emotionally, but yet they survived it. And so, as a representation of resilience, I decided to use the color purple. And also, like in African history and things like that, is connected to royalty. So it's like the people that have endured the most pain and have overcome resilient, they are royalty. So that's why I use the color purple often. But that was a good observation. I love it. Yeah, I don't do green. I don't like green. All right, so let's go to Mimi next. Mimi is a pretty good swimmer. She's been whitewater rafting and she's ridden a camel before. I don't know that I feel like I don't know nothing about Mimi after reading that. Like all of these things just seem suspect. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with she never went whitewater rafting only because your background, maybe you might have been somewhere where you were a camel. That's what I'm gonna
I
go with.
agree. I agree.
so I don't know how to swim, but there was a time that uh, I was on a group trip with some teachers, and it was like a reserved whitewater rafting, and one of the people didn't make it, and I was the team player.
So you can't swim, is what you trying to tell us?
Can't swim, and I went water rafting, and it was an amazing and terrifying experience.
Yeah, okay. And then you ridden a camel. Where did you ride a camel at?
In Egypt, they had a trip back in 2010 where they had people with at least one parent that had a background. You just had to pay for your flight, and the whole trip was paid for. And so they took you around all the sites, and I rode a camel by the pyramids. That was
Wow.
that was
That's on my list.
Listen, nothing braces you for when the camel stands up because you feel like you're on a roller coaster.
Wow. By standing up. That's crazy. All right. But like I learned a lot. Okay, you can't swim and you work at a job that offers swimming classes. That's crazy.
That's something I think about too. And
Something that you'll find out over there, a lot of people don't know how to swim. A lot of the employees don't take advantage, including myself, of
That's,
that.
that's always how it goes. The doctor is always sick. All right. So, Ashley, you have 10 siblings. You play the trumpet and you love reading. Now, last session, she said something about the siblings she has. But you know what? I answered the last one. So, Mimi, you tell me what you think.
um, I know she loves reading. That's one of the first things that I bonded with Ashley on. I think she may have a lot of siblings. I would say I think the trumpet is the lie.
The trumpet is a lot. I know she got a lot of siblings. She told me how many it was last time. It could be nine. Like she could be messing with us, and she could be nine because she looked like to me. I don't. She looked like she could play the trumpet. Like she one of those types that would be, in the band low key. So
Hmm.
I'm like kind of torn. This is a good one. Actually, like help us out. Which one is black?
10 siblings.
is
I
the
do have
last.
a lot of siblings, but it's not 10. Um,
Okay.
I was a part of the band when I was in middle school all the way to high school, so I did play the trumpet. I haven't played in so long, but it's something that I look forward to picking back up, and I am an avid reader. Like I literally have like a little library. I keep all my books from what I used to read when I was in high school to college to currently right now. Even there are a lot of books that I've purchased that I haven't read yet, but this year I'm trying to read at least two books so far. I mean, two books a month. Right now I'm on book five, so hopefully I can keep up.
I played the clarinet.
Understand.
I played the clarinet in high school, actually. I really wanted to play either the piano. No, I wanted to play the piano. But the way my school worked was that for piano, you had to have had experience already.
Mm.
Oh, so we should just start a band. I used to play piano. You got a trumpet, clarinet. Let's go. Good to go. How many siblings do you actually have? Because you didn't say.
Oh, eight.
Dang, I know. Eight was sticking out, but I was like, I don't know if that included her or excluded her. That's why I said I feel like it's nine.
I was a
I be
smart.
listening. I be listening. All right. The ice has been broken for this week. So let's move forward. The lesson. How did you do with acknowledging your feelings last week? So let's talk about your homework assignment. I want you guys to jot down, journal a moment that you had this week where you felt your emotions go high, and how did you acknowledge how you felt? How was that experience? Don't all speak at once.
For I'm sorry.
No, I just said don't all speak at once because you guys were like it went dead silent.
So for me, um, I feel like it was a little bit more, I don't know, light because oftentimes when I did have like a situation beforehand, it was like, how am I going to say this? And that's what I also discovered last class. I said that where it's like, it's literally this one sentence, like explain your feeling and then why you feel that way. So with the homework, um, there was a situation when I woke up, like I was waking up like 2 days in the week where I felt like anxiety and sadness or whatever. And then I kept it to myself, tried to like see if there's something I could like pick me up and things like that. And then there was a situation with my partner and and like I snapped at him. I don't know why he always gets the the short end of the stick. Like I snapped at him and it was like a mini argument, and then I went my way, and then he went his, and then I had to come back because like my conscience spoke to me. He's like, that wasn't really, it wasn't really deserving. And I went back to apologize, and then I explained to him and I used it and I said, I feel upset because I'm overworked and I'm mentally tired. So it's nothing against you. This is how I've been feeling. And I shared like the anxiety and anxiousness that I was feeling. But yeah,
How
it
did that
felt
work out?
like conversation. I'm sorry. Yeah, I feel like it worked out well because then we went straight to problem solving. Like, what can I do? What can he do to help when I feel that situation? In comparison to other times when I would try to discuss, it would be like more of like a roadblock. Like, you're not listening to me. I'm not listening to you. You're not hearing what I'm saying. This is what I'm trying to say, but I'm not like explaining it in a way, or like, um, I'm not really clarifying what I'm trying to say. So with that simple sentence, I was able to get to the nitty gritty of what the situation was, and we didn't have to have the whole conversation of us spewing words out of emotion. We skipped that part and went straight to conflict resolution, or like resolution, like figuring out how can we
Yeah,
work it out.
yeah, I
Hmm.
love it. It sounds like direct communication
Hmm.
is what it is, as opposed to avoiding how you feel. You led with how you feel, and it actually
Hmm.
got you to problem solving much faster.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, go start for you. Good job. Mimi, how did you do? Did you do your homework?
I did do my homework. I
Okay,
also
I
went
like it.
back and I did reflections from the last class as well.
I love that, but
Um,
we're gonna do homework.
but today, um, how did I do with acknowledging my feelings this week? Great. There was a situation this week. You feel backed into a corner, backed into a wall, and it's a high stakes situation. It felt like a high stakes situation. I acknowledged my feelings about it, and I felt like I had the right to express my feelings about the situation. But I also felt that expressing my feelings might bring negative consequences on me. And so I was in a stuck place where I had the email response or like the response written out, and I spent too much time figuring out how to word it and then oversharing in it and then taking things out. And then the anxiety took over and I just didn't send it. And, there could be consequences for that. So, it's something that, you know, again, recognizing that not acknowledge, like acknowledging, but not taking action to resolve it and letting the anxiety win put me in a situation where the anxiety isn't gone and it's stronger because time has passed now. So, yeah.
I love that. That is very honest of you to share. So one, thank you for that. I think that's a very realistic situation. So before we get to action, because it sounds like you were doing a lot, like you were like in terms of you're being ambitious. I mean, so let's dial it back a little bit.
Okay.
Did you acknowledge to yourself how you were feeling? So what were the feelings that you were feeling in
Yeah.
yourself?
I acknowledged myself that I was feeling. I was I recognized that the way I work,
Stop, 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 stop.
the wheel,
So
right?
listen
Overwhelmed.
to the simple sentence.
Mhm.
I feel blank because blank.
Yeah.
So whatever the issue was, just tell me I felt blank because blank.
Mhm.
Go
Okay.
ahead, try it.
Yeah. I felt I felt misunderstood because what I shared about my reality wasn't acknowledged.
Good.
Mhm.
I love that. How did that feel? Saying that simple sentence just now.
Um, it gave it a very simple name, you know?
I felt a relief just hearing you say it because before I felt like you were dancing around it and I felt anxious in your explanation. And because of that, that's why I pushed you to bring it down to the simple sentence. And I
Yeah.
bring you back to the simple sentence because now that you made it very clear what it is you feel and why you feel it, now I can better advise you on the next part of what you were saying. Should I take action or should I not take action?
Mhm.
Is that important? Is it not important?
Mhm.
That's where discernment comes in. And we're gonna get through the action steps eventually. It actually segues into what we're doing. Today we're gonna be talking about your why, right? So in this case, this is your job, and you have to determine what type of relationship you're dealing with. So in Ashley's case, it's a personal relationship. She absolutely should. In personal relationship, always, but in a professional sense, you can't always. But you do need to identify how you feel and why you feel. So you said you feel like you were misunderstood or you weren't validated. You
Mhm.
felt misunderstood because you weren't validated.
Yeah.
The next question I would ask is, what is the validation I'm seeking from work? And do you really need that validation to do your job? Or why is that validation so important to you on the job? You don't got to answer it. These are
Mhm.
just like follow
Thank
up questions that I would along the way. But today I think it might help because we're going to be talking about whys anyway today. And the assignment wasn't about for you to do action. It was just really for you to acknowledge. And the first person that has to acknowledge your feelings is you. So it's really important that you say it in that simple sentence so you're clear with yourself. This is what I'm feeling, and this is why, and digest that. And let even if you gotta meditate, and then all the other steps will come to play and make sense of what you should do. Okay, I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, it
You,
was.
you ladies did an amazing job. Since you were vulnerable, I'll be a little vulnerable with you. Y'all want me to be a little vulnerable, or y'all want me to just get it going with the rest of class? You good?
Yeah, you're with us.
It's
Yes.
a, some people sometimes they be like, "You telling me too much of your business. It's not about me." So I just so I'm gonna be very transparent. So I am in, I guess, a temporary housing situation, which is fine. A mentor that loves me dearly. She opened up her home to let me stay with her temporarily. Initially, be until the initial agreement was until June, but she decided that for whatever reasons, it's awkward, whatever. It's not like people you don't know like that. She decided she doesn't want me to return in 2 weeks. So now I got 2 weeks to pick up and figure that out. Figure out like look at how she's facing like right. So we're talking about acknowledging feelings, right? And I'm at a conference. I'm doing all these things. People are sending me great things, but yet this is a real life situation that I'm dealing with behind the scenes. And what I did was I communicated with the partners that I'm with here. I said, hey, um, I am trying to process bad news that I just received. I'm gonna go do my course here. I'm not even gonna share with you the bad news because I don't want to throw you off. You guys are about to do a presentation. We'll talk about it later. But I stopped and thought, um, and I thought of you, Ashley, because I connected with you last week when you said it. I thought about my relationship with God. Just last night, I was telling my friend, like, I feel like I need to move. I don't know why. For the last week, actually, I've been feeling like I should leave because the temporary income I was getting stopped. So I was just like, I don't really feel comfortable being here, knowing that that stopped and knowing I'm in person. And I asked God last night, I prayed, I said, God, like, I don't want to be anxious. I don't know if I should just start thinking about leaving. Should I just stay on without the terms we discussed? I don't want to make my life harder than it needs to be. I don't have to. And then I said, you know what? I'm not gonna stress. Like, I'm gonna just wait, be still, and God is gonna give me the answer. And then this morning, she sent that message. So now, even though I was able, because I'm very obviously self-aware, I'm leaving this course, right? So that's more advanced. But I just wanted to demonstrate that even though it was in the spirit that this is a move that should happen, I acknowledge like, yo, I'm kind of sad. I'm stressed. I feel like I did something wrong that she would come to this conclusion, even though she said it as much as she could. She couldn't pinpoint it, but slowly negative thoughts started to flood my mind. I was like, why? What did I do wrong? I did everything I could to be respectful. And sometimes you have to cut that off feeling. You were already feeling uncomfortable. You're feeling uncomfortable because you have a space to work. You didn't have a place to cook your food. It actually was a more uncomfortable situation. So I don't, it's okay. I can leave. This is actually a blessing in disguise. And sometimes we don't think things through because we allow our emotions to take over. But I had to acknowledge, like, I was feeling like I just something wrong. And that's why she wanted me to leave. But I had to breathe, take my step, acknowledge to everyone around me that I was feeling away, and allow myself to feel what I feel because I'm still here. But
Yeah.
then in that, I was able to reel it back. Okay, so that was my acknowledging my feelings experience today.
I love that. Because even in that, you sharing that, you showed that even though you felt like this overwhelming rush of emotions, you allowed yourself to go through that, but you didn't allow yourself to stay in that. And then you push through for that too. Because I find myself like staying in the emotions and overthinking, like just how you were like thinking, like, did I do something wrong? What did I do? What did I say? Did I make them feel some type of way? And even with those questions, I could never bring myself to ask the person if I did something, if I harmed them in any way. I just allow myself like, I guess I should move this way now. But yes,
Mhm.
thank you for sharing.
That's
Yeah,
good.
thank you for
That's
sharing. To add to that, I like I like it made me think about how coming to an acceptance and allowance to feel how you feel um gives you space to be human around it instead of whatever could happen when you're not letting yourself process or like turned off or maybe redirecting your emotions to something else. Then you lose sight of like what the real emotion around it is.
good.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Thank you, ladies, for listening. Right. So now we all broken ice and bonded. Let's get your thoughts going for what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to do a little reading. This is called team reading. I love to do this with my students. You want to open your textbook to page 11. We're going to read this passage, 11 to 14. We're going to take turns reading each paragraph. And then I'm going to have a reflection question for you to answer to get our mind and our juices going with today's lesson. Make sense? Okay. See, maybe she got her heart comfortable with me. Yeah, that's right. And actually, this should count. By the time you're done with this class, you will have another book to add to your list.
I'm gonna add it to my list, but the thing for me when it comes to workbooks, I don't like to write in them.
Me neither.
So
That's
when
fine. You don't have to write in there, but I'm
I
saying it still
don't.
counts as a book that you read. On
Yes,
top.
yes, definitely, definitely.
All right, so
But
we're
I am
on
gonna
page.
purchase it.
No problem. We're on page 13. We're going to read from 13 to 14. We'll take turns reading paragraphs. I'll go first. Ashley will go second. Maybe we go last, and then we'll keep going in that same order. Okay? I'll start it off, and everyone, let me know when you're there.
Page 13, you said?
For 11.
Page 11. Can
11.
y'all see my screen?
Yes. I thought you said 13. I'm like, I think your screen says. Okay, go ahead. I'm ready.
All right. Well, we're going to read line and time. I am not my trauma. When I was 6 years old, I was molested. I still remember the details of that day. I grew up in a basement apartment for the first 13 years of my life. I was jumped and robbed by teens my own age in my own community on the way to dance class my senior year of high school. During my first semester of attending a predominantly white institution, I experienced my racist white English teacher tell me that I would most likely drop out of school because I was a black girl from Brooklyn and we usually are not successful at big universities. I graduated cum laude, but her words still burn. Just to name a few, I have had my fair share of trauma. Needless to say, my traumas play a significant role in the development of the person that I am today.
According to the DSM-5, a traumatic experience is exposure to actual or threatened death, serious injury, physical or sexual violence. This includes witnessing a traumatic event, hearing a story, or learning that a traumatic event happened to someone close to you, a family or friend, or experiencing repeated exposure to the details of a traumatic event that happened to someone else. In other words, trauma does not just develop from our own adverse experiences, but also from the experiences of our friends, family, and community members that are around us on a day to day. For example, repeatedly watching Black people being killed by officers on TV can traumatize the Black community and has. A child watching her parents engage in a domestic violent relationship can be traumatic. Living in a neighborhood where gang violence and poverty is prevalent can be traumatic. Working in a hostile work setting can be traumatic.
Too often we minimize or completely disregard difficult moments in our life. Whether it be we are trying to appear strong or we feel as the head of household, we cannot display certain emotions because we don't want others to worry. But what if I told you that the lack of sharing and processing your feelings contributes to more adversity or trauma.
Communication and connecting with others reduces the negative mental health effects that may come after experiencing or witnessing a traumatic event. Naturally, as humans, we use our experiences to connect with one another. Research reveals that people who have been exposed to a traumatic event are less likely to develop mental health issues such as anxiety, depression, etc. if they have positive support to discuss the experience. Wow. So simple, right? Yet we do not do that. Somehow we have been conditioned to believe that being vulnerable is a sign of weakness, especially in the Black community.
Thankfully, mental health and its awareness initiatives are being acknowledged more today. However, when I was growing up in the concept what happens in our house stays in our house was the norm. My family is Caribbean, and anytime we discuss feelings, the response would be toughen up or you need Jesus, go to church. There always seemed to be a dismissive attitude towards acknowledging our emotions. The most hurtful response I have heard was when I revealed to a family member that I was molested. The response was, "That's it? That's not bad." At that moment, I felt so broken, invalidated, and unheard. Later, I learned that a family member responded that way because she herself had been raped several times when she was a teen and thought my experience was not as traumatic as hers. Which brings me to my next point. Trauma is subjective and person centered. Naturally, we like to compare ourselves to others, but the reality is no one's personal life is comparable to another. We are all unique because we all have different experiences which follows us to view life from various different perspectives. Be mindful not to put other people down or minimize their feelings just because you feel your experience was way worse or better than the next person.
I did not realize how much of my own trauma I dismissed until I became an educator. I saw my students experiencing some of the hurt that I went through. More so, when I was diagnosed with major depression and borderline personality disorder by a psychiatrist, I had to go to therapy and revisit my childhood to comprehend how I ended up in a lonely place where I was unable to keep meaningful friendships. The mental breakdown taught me a lot about myself, people, and how being silent about your pain causes more harm than good. Once I began being more open and sharing my story with people, people started opening up to me. Now I'm coaching and supporting youth and adults, creating spaces where people can acknowledge and share their traumas to begin their healing.
Awesome. Excellent. Now, I want you to take a moment to process how does trauma and vulnerability influence your decision making?
Um, I think um, the experiences of how you felt. Because if you go through a situation that feels similar to a past experience trauma, it would make you like move away from that because you know how you felt after if you're being vulnerable, how somebody reacted to your vulnerability, or if you found yourself in a traumatic episode like or situation, how you felt when you were there, either if it's like you felt the uneasiness because that feeling is familiar to you. Oftentimes if those feelings come up, you may shy away or close up, or if you feel like you saying something or standing up for yourself or being vulnerable and open up to someone is going to be bad because the last time that happened, or if you shared that same experience with someone else, it blew up on you and it turned out well in your favor, is actually worse. So it's sometimes what stop you from doing certain things like decisions, making a decision, hey, I have to tell this person something, or oh, this is something I don't think I should be in because this happened. And it could cloud your judgment too.
That's that's really well said. I was thinking of that. I was also thinking about um how you approach trauma and vulnerability can affect how you make decisions, and that if you're if you're in a state of fear and shame, so you're not being actively vulnerable and you're sitting in your trauma alone, you're likely to experience what Ashley was saying, in the sense that you're stuck alone in this spiral of shame in your past experience and it lives in you. Whereas if you're not in a space of shame and dismissing, and you're vulnerable to the point that you're able to share with people, you get clarity that you're not alone. You don't feel as isolated. It's less heavy, so you could be in a lighter space to make a decision.
I love that. Great job, ladies. All right, so today's lesson, we're going to talk through that process. So, resilience is the ability to overcome adversity. So, that feeling that you guys are talking about, when I experienced something negative, or the last time I was vulnerable, I got made fun of. In order for me to overcome that horrible feeling I had to take the risk to be vulnerable again to find out that that was not the only time that the situation, even though it may feel the same, it's not the same. And resiliency is what gets you to do that, right? And it helps you overcome adversity. So when you're trying to grow and accomplish something new in life, you're gonna encounter challenge. So doing it again after you were humiliated is going to be a challenge for sure. So resilience is necessary for you to persevere through the challenges so you can achieve what you set out to accomplish. Make sense so far?
Yes.
Your why is the fuel that will drive you to complete your goals. So in order for you to be resilient enough to persevere, you have to have a good reason why. There has to be something in you that is motivating you beyond just that moment to get you through. So in the Arise formula, that's what this course is called, the Arise. Step two, the R is for remember your why. Okay. Why is this the second step? This is the second step because after you validate your emotions, you have to ground yourself in the reason your emotion was triggered. Okay. So if you using that example of being made fun of, if you want to be a public speaker, but the first time you spoke in public, people made fun of you. But your goal is to be a public speaker. That's the why that's going to motivate you to try to speak in public again, even though you were hurt, embarrassed, to ripped apart the first time you went on stage. But the fact that you can see yourself in the lights, you can see yourself on a TEDx stage one day, right? You're going to try again, right? So the why is super important. So your why is the bigger picture. It's the vision that you have in your mind that you created before you decided to take that step, before you decided to make that decision, before you decided to take that job. You have a bigger picture and a bigger vision in your mind that you're trying to achieve. And you have to identify it and remember what that is. It's tied to your purpose. Why are you here? Why are you doing this? Why are you why are you using gentle parenting for your child as opposed to old school parenting? What's the bigger picture you're trying to achieve? What's your purpose for doing that? You've got to bring yourself back to that space because the emotion you felt, the trigger you felt, will cause you to be distracted. So, in order for you to get back on track, once you know what you feel, then you can clearly ground yourself and be like, this is why I put myself in a position to feel this way. This is why I'm here. Your why refocuses you on your plan and provides you space to make better choices. So R is for what, ladies?
Remember your why.
Okay, make sure you got it. So here's your simple sentence. You can write it down if you need to. I am whatever the action that you're doing. I am enduring embarrassment. I am risking failure. I am letting somebody talk down to me because my goal is to be a public speaker. I am allowing myself to feel like I'm not good enough because I know this is not my permanent home. This is not my permanent home anyway. Just because it's ending sooner than I wanted, it doesn't matter. Like I can let that person. I don't need to know what I did wrong. It doesn't matter. So I'm allowed. I'm okay with feeling that way because at the end of the day, I'm looking for permanent living. So I don't need to stress myself over a temporary situation that's going to end anyway. My bigger picture is a permanent. So, what is your why for taking this course? Let's try practicing. What is your why for taking this course? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first this time.
Hey, is
Um,
there somebody's background? It sounds like somebody's eating, or it's like a weird sound. Is that your background, Ashley?
but
Or
I'm
is
gonna
it
be
just my connection?
real. Is it mine? Because I have like a water sound machine.
Yeah, I hear it. It's you. This is
Gotcha.
exactly what it sounds like. Okay. Okay,
Gotcha.
go ahead.
Um, so my why for taking this course is because um I am
So you
some
say I am taking this course because blah, 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 blah.
okay,
In case that wasn't correct. So.
yeah. I'm taking this course because I just want to be more intentional within how I am in all the spaces I am in, and especially in modeling intentionality with my child. And you can't be intentional without being aware of yourself. You know,
Okay, you
being,
added so many words. It's supposed to be a simple sentence. The only thing I would shift, okay, so modeling is one thing. Why is it important to model intentionality with your child? What is the bigger picture?
if I model intentionality, she will become intentional. She will be able to recognize intentional, within herself.
So your bigger picture is intentionality. How is that gonna help? How's that gonna help you as your parenting, or how is that gonna help you as your child? Like I want you guys to think deeper in the sense of we just read about trauma,
Hmm.
right? And it influencing our decision making. So the
Okay.
reasons why we do things usually come from a deeper place.
Deeper
So
place.
that's what I mean by bigger picture. That's
I'm
a step. Look at
I got it. Let's do this again.
you got it.
I'm taking this course because um I grew up in an inconsistency. I grew up in an environment where what's happening changed every year, and that shaped who I am as an adult, as a professional. It's something that I find myself battling today, and I want my child to not have inconsistency, to have consistency because I can name it for her.
Okay, so I'm taking this course because I want to create an environment of stability and consistency for my child.
Taking this course because I want to have a consistent and direct environment for my kids.
Yeah, because we want to focus on where you're going and not where
Mhm.
you came from. But where you came from is important because you have to conceptualize and understand why you're going there. when you're articulating it to feel empowered, you're not coming from a woe is me perspective. You're coming from like, I'm taking control and breaking generational cycles to not create the same thing my child went through, but at the same time, you're acknowledging that you didn't get that. Mhm. Excellent. Yeah, actually.
Um,
Just taking this quick
for me,
data.
when I was doing, like, you really like clarified it for me, because that was the a part of the homework too. Like, what is your why? So I started off saying like generational curses and stuff like that, but I'm taking this course because I want to be healed and that I can break generational curses emotionally, financially, and spiritually.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm
That's pretty
taking
good.
this course.
I felt the power in your voice when you said that. Come on, somebody's doing their homework. We're gonna get to that part of the homework in a second. The reason why I say that or maybe you do that is because when the why is clear, the how is easy. Okay? When the why is clear, the how is easy. When we don't know why we're doing something or we forget why we're doing something, know why we do things, but sometimes we forget, and sometimes we get lost in the steps, in the process, in the journey. So what Mimi started expressing, she was expressing steps and processes that she's doing so that she could create a consistent environment, but she's forgetting the bigger picture. And when we lose sight of the bigger picture, we could get lost in the journey and all the steps. And then that can help make us get weird, right? Because the steps in front of us are important, but they're never as important as the goal because sometimes things in life can shift and it can allow us to skip steps. Sometimes it can allow us to go in a different direction, but it's going to bring us back. Like so, the bigger goal is always has to be in the forefront of our mind because the in betweens can change and shift, right? Because depending on what kind of kids you have, maybe modeling ain't working, and even though that's a really good step, if it's not helping you get to your ultimate goal, but you think that that's the only step that's right, and you keep forcing that one thing, it could drift you away from the goal that you're trying to actually achieve. Does that make sense? As a music. So always go back to your why. So now we're gonna do a little experiential activity. All right, this is our way of like activating our juices to get us into get our why muscles stronger. Okay, so I want you to take a look at your why statement. So this why statement is more general. So in the hard readings, right, I talked about why I pursue supporting youth and families, why that's so important to me, and why I put up the things that I put up with to advocate for youth and families, right? That's the why of my mission, the ultimate social work, right? So this is like your mission statement. Your why is like your personal mission statement. So if you didn't catch that when you were doing the homework, I want you to take a moment to review it. It's beyond just this class. It's like, what is your why? Why do you get up in the morning and go to work, have kids, and have fiancés, and do all these things? What is your ultimate goal for yourself? Why do you do these things? So I want to give you guys 3 minutes to let that sink, make edits to it, and then we're gonna go around and share. Okay? Start the 3 minute timer. Once it goes off, we'll share, give each other some feedback. All right. So, who wants to go first? Let's hear your why statement. So, each person is going to take a time, their first moment to share their why statement just read, and then the other classmate give me feedback on the statement, and then we'll switch. Make sense? Easy peasy. Lemon squeeze. All right. Who wants to go first?
I have two whys. One for like everyday waking up personally, and then another for a parent. So for the parent one, I said that my why is I want to be healed. Um, as a parent, I feel like my why, if I am healed, I'll be better in my choices and being a parent, and she would be able to follow what I do or have an example of how to be as a healed person. Um, for like the why of why I want to like wake up every morning, is that I want to be saved. Um, I want to break generational curses from my family and the generations after me, spiritually, emotionally, physically, and I want to be free. That's my everyday.
Give me feedback on her why.
Um, I felt like it's very grounded, actually, in just like such a spiritual truth, like beyond the day to day, like you're more than your body, you're more than the hardships and everything, your spirit, and that flows, and you want to be more in touch with that. I felt like it was simple and straight up.
Thank you. The reason why, like when I was writing it, that's where I shifted to, because there's something that Simone said that like shook me a little bit. Because I don't know if you took it that way, but you said that it's just a temporary home, and that just shifted into my spiritual life because this is not what I believe in. This is a temporary home for us. So in all the hardships and all the good times and all the bad times, we have to understand that the end goal is to be in the kingdom. So we cannot be focused on the vain things of the world or the carnal things. Or yes, I want to have a big house. Yes, I want to have $1 million in my bank account, because in what I believe is like, what is it for you to profit to gain the whole world and at the end to lose your soul? So no matter what I'm dealing with financially, yes, I would love to be financially freed, emotionally freed, not feeling any bondage. But I know that if I'm actively working towards being saved, all of those things would be given onto me, because within what I believe in, it says, seeks first the kingdom of God and everything else will be added onto you. So those things are secondary to me. I just need to make sure that my soul and the soul of my family will be saved. Honestly, that's like my everyday. Sorry, not to go
That's
church,
beautiful.
but
No, 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 that's I love it. You talking to the choir. So before Mimi sings for Watson, I want to say this to you because my spirit says to say this to you. So when you say I'm working to be saved, I want you
Mhm.
to know that the moment that you said the prayer, Lord, I accept you as my Lord and Savior. I believe that Christ died on the cross for my sins so that I can be made whole. I commit my life to you. Once you say that prayer, that spiel, the altar call, if you've ever done it,
Mhm.
you are saved. You don't have to work anywhere to be saved. Now it's about growing in your relationship with Christ. And once you believe in your heart that He already died for your sins and you want to invite Him into your heart, He is with you. Now it's about walking the way He tells you to walk, doing the things that He wants you to do. After that, it's about being obedient to Him, right? So
Mhm.
I even want you to communicate change your speech and how you communicate because you are already a child. You already believe it. When we talk about it enough for me to know that you already have invited Him into your heart. So He's already you're good. You're good. Now it's about you being a vessel. And that's what I hear. You want to be a vessel. You want to make sure that you're being useful for the kingdom, to the kingdom, to give back to the And as long as you continue to read and pray and seek Him in everything that you do, every single thing that you do, then and you follow through with that and don't hold back and don't hide your feelings and avoid it, but you constantly do that because He's within you. Your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit. He's there in you. You have to trust that. And if you believe in Him and you believe in His power, and you start trusting the part of him that's in you, he's gonna grow bigger and bigger and bigger. That's how I was able to talk to him last night. Like, God, can you give me an answer? And then this morning he should give me an answer. It's kind of scary. That's probably why I'm also on my feelings. Not even more so like, oh, this is a temper, I gotta move, but the shaking of recognizing like, yo, God literally heard me, and this was like the fastest I seen a response. And that was the first time I was very clear in the moment because I've been having conflicts for a while, but I never really just say it direct. And I just yesterday I was just like, you know what? No, God is going to give me an answer. Lord, just tell me what to do. Answer came. So you are saved. You're not working to be saved. You're working to be obedient in every step, in every part of your life. All the things you mentioned, you just want to be obedient to God and whatever those are. Okay, you are saved. You are loved. You are already in the kingdom. You don't have to do anything more. Okay, I just want you to know.
Thank you.
The Holy Spirit says to tell you that. All right. Thank you, Ashley. Love it. Go ahead, Amy. What's your wise statement?
So I trimmed out the fluff and all of the past and everything to kind of focus on. So why do I get up every morning? Because I know how much gets passed down without anyone meaning to pass it down. I don't see my child as something to fight against anymore. It shaped me, it made me perceptive, it made me capable and strong, but it also wired me in ways I had to learn to notice. The tendency to hold things in, to manage more than I should, to confuse independence with safety. Being a mother changes that because now you have someone else to be responsible for. It's not just about understanding myself. A good part of my journey I felt was trying to understand my past, and I've moved beyond trying to understand. But it's about realizing that I have a child that absorbs me more than without me even saying anything, because children are aware of their atmosphere and the environment that you create around them. They are so sensitive to tone. They feel how conflict feels and how you present it. Um, and so that's my why. I want her emotional baseline to be steadier than mine was. I want her to grow up in a home where, um, feelings are normal, her presence is normal. And she doesn't feel like asking for help or being connective is a weakness. And I recognize that that starts with me. that in raising a child, you have to re-raise parts of yourself. And so I'm looking forward to doing that in this experience.
Let's see what's your feedback for her.
My feedback is like I agree with you too. It's like what you want to do is that you know how you grew up, and you feel like currently right now you're a survivor of the errors of your childhood, and you want to make sure you're not recreating. Like you see what is good, what is not, and you're trying your hardest to not recreate that atmosphere or environment for your child, to where she has a more healthy environment, because you realize in her there's certain things that you wish that you were able to do, and you want to continue to cultivate those seeds in her for her to grow up to be more. You see that she's independent, you see that she's vocal, you don't want to stifle that, you want to keep watering those type of seeds and spirits in her. So you want to make sure that you can do it yourself and not carry whatever that pain of the past or the trauma of the past to have that over your child, but actually to recognize those traumas and then understand what you need to do to not recreate those traumas or pass down those traumas to your daughter. So that's the only feedback I understand.
That wasn't feedback. That was rephrasing what you
Reflection.
understood about her why. Feedback is, well, you gave one sentence here. I'm gonna give y'all both feedback just to make it easy. Because actually giving feedback is a hard thing for you guys or challenging.
Mhm.
So feedback is like this is the expectation of what you were supposed to do. And as a peer, you're helping them assess did they meet those expectations, right? So what I
Mhm.
heard both of you say to each other, you understood the whys, like you understood where each other is coming from. But as far as the assignment, did you say what your one sentence mission statement is? Neither one of you did.
Mm,
If you focus in on parenthood, I gave that because this is a parent class, so that's okay. Or if you're focusing on life, you as a human being, pick one and write one sentence. So my mission statement is that I want to break generational cycles of trauma by creating safe spaces for trauma stories to foster human connection and belonging. Yeah, because sometimes people they don't know more details. One sentence, I'm not giving a backstory. I'm not saying all that other stuff. It's almost like an elevator pitch. You need to know what your why is.
mm,
Because if you're not strong and confident, it's not clear and consistent, people will make you shift. They'll make you shift. And I'm speaking to myself because I've come 15 years almost to being confident. I wrote this book in 2021. What year are we in? 2026,
26.
right? All right. When I wrote this book, I didn't even believe what I'm saying to you now. But then when I look back, this was something I always did. But nobody wanted to talk about their trauma 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. I just decided that this is my technique and I'm good at it. I had to recognize that for myself and constantly use it and show that it's working. I decided to make this course. This is a thing in my book. We're gonna go to it. This is something I created 6 years ago, and I just now decided to make it a course because I finally realized, like, no, what is a technique just because you never heard of it before, just because you never you think it's weird, like it does none of that matters. Once I was able to own it, I was able to put it in a sentence. This is my strategy. That's it. So you guys, whatever your mission is, if it's to break generational cycles in your family, that is okay. It doesn't have to be more fancy, sound like extra. It just needs to be a foundation that you can always go back to that is a vision. When it's too specific, if something goes wrong and it doesn't align with that specificity, it could throw you off track. But all those other things you guys said is the umbrella of it, but the core vision for your life, for the woman you want to be, for the parent you want to be, it all should fall under the same umbrella. Because I use trauma storytelling in my personal life, in my professional life, in my social life. It don't matter. If you've been around me, you gonna see me and be like, yo, hey, son, I'm at this conference. A young man disclosed what his mental health diagnosis was. It's the famous one where so I'm saying out loud because he might go cry. But he's at a conference, he just wants to like do STEM and whatever. And I'm like, no, you should tell your counselor to come over here. It's like, they're not gonna listen to me. And I'm just like, why do you think that? It's like, yeah, I'm an overthinker. And it's like, where did that come from? Oh, like I had a lot of responsibilities and I have this diagnosis and I'm dealing with this. And it's just like, wow, you're just sharing all these things. But all the point of the matter is my gift is to allow people to tell me their traumas, right? Because once you release it, you'll be clear enough to go. And I taught him a checklist step to help him with his overthinking. And he was like, wow, like this was really helpful. So you gotta know what is your baseline. If healing is what your baseline is to be healed and whole, it don't matter if you're doing it in parenting, it don't matter if you're doing it being a spouse, it doesn't matter if you're doing it as a daughter. In any role you play, your baseline is I'm operating in healing. I only deal with healed people. No, you're not healed. Are you trying to get healing? Let me recommend this course for you. Oh, you're not trying? All right, I can't. That has to be your measurement. Your purpose, your mission, your why has to be your way of assessing where you are in a situation. And that's why when you acknowledge how you feel, you can then measure that back to, is this helping me with my healed lifestyle? If I write this email, is that going to help me with my healed lifestyle or is it going to feed into the toxicity that I'm trying to get away from? Decisions. That's where the why like comes in. Does that make sense for you
Yeah,
guys?
that does
So
make
none of you guys were wrong
Mm-hmm.
inherently, but it's like less words and make it clear, simple, direct. So you can no one can throw you off track, neither yourself. Really more so yourself. Make sense? You were gonna
yeah.
say something, Mimi? You come off a
Yeah, it
lesson.
makes sense. That makes sense.
All right. So let's take a moment because in order to do the next activity, let me see. Oh, you don't have to look at me. I'm on point. I want you guys to revise it one more time and give me one complete sentence, no, a period, one sentence period,
Can you
not a
restate
long
the
sentence.
sentence?
Huh?
Can you restate it? Can you restate it? My why is like, how did you restate it?
I just said what mine is. My mission statement is.
No, but the sentence structure for the one, my why, like
I
as
am
in,
no. I am doing because this is in the context of a rise.
mhm.
Okay.
Like when you're
Okay,
in the context of a problem. I'm
gotcha.
telling the assignment that you got in your homework that we're going over is not in the context of a problem. It's what your why statement is. Because then once you know what your general why is, then you'll be able to, when you're in a situation, a problem, you'll be able to insert, I'm doing whatever it is, I'm taking this course because I want to be healed from generational cycles of trauma. Does that make sense? So
Hmm.
this is
Yes.
just in the context of problem solving. But before you can use it in problem solving, you just have to know what you deciding what it is right now. Makes sense? So I just want you to decide what is yours. Mine is to break generational cycles of trauma through trauma storytelling to foster human connection and sense of belonging. I'll give y'all 3 more minutes, okay? If you're finished, you can write your why statement in the chat. Who wants to share first out loud? I'm gonna write mine so you guys can compare it against yours. And then we're gonna go into reflection, okay?
Okay.
So Mimi grounded her why back to the course. You didn't have to do that. That was the intro activity to just practice making a why statement for a problem. So, like if you're facing a problem within the context of the course, the last thing I mentioned was general, your general why you wake up because your why statement, your general why statement is connected to why you're taking this course. So, like
Mm.
in Ashley's why statement, in the part where she talks about being healed, her taking this course is an action that she's taking to seek healing, which is her bigger why. Um, and she didn't have to mention the course. Just by her saying her why, I was able to put that together for her. While Ashley, yours is very broad, which is good. The only thing is like helping others is not specific enough because you need to know how you help people. Because you could get lost in people pleasing when it's just help others. Some people don't need your type of help or you're not supposed to help them. So you have to be more specific on like what is your helping purpose. I'm helping people in my purpose, but I know how I'm supposed to help them. So I put mine in the chat to uh, so you guys can kind of gauge where you are, and then I'm gonna let you guys go into reflection to help with that. Okay.
Mm.
So here are your reflection questions. Okay. It's really important for you to remember your why. R is for remember your why. I want you to think about what you learned about yourself and why you make the choices that you do, right? Because why is a very multi-layered question. You got big picture why. It's like a funnel. You got the big picture why, then you got the why for the season, the moment that you're in, the situation that you're in. Then you got the smaller why for the moments. You know, I went to the bathroom 3 times. Why did you do that? Because I had to pee the first time. The second time I was nervous. The third time I had to do a number two. Like whys, right? We want to be able to differentiate the differences between the whys. And the first is the big part of the funnel for the foundation. If you're thinking about a pyramid, the bottom of the pyramid is the largest. You need to know what your big picture why is, and then all the other things that you do to lead up to it. But I like to say it upside down because that to me is more visually appropriate for what we're trying to achieve here. So why do you make the choices that you make? That's more, you know, the bottom of the funnel that's leading you up to the bigger picture. What relevant revelations did you get, if any, about why you show up for the people, places, and things you care about? Or why do you show up for this last person, right? What revelations, if any, did you get about your parenting or your childhood, um, or why your childhood is the way that it is? Or what did you learn from others in the room? So I want you to reflect on them. You can pick any question that jumps out at you first. Once you finish answering one question, you can go to the next. Just try your best to write the entire in 10 minutes, and then we'll Right. Time is up. I want you to share that overall reflection.
I guess I'll go first. So I wrote down that I learned that I may have a people pleasing aspect of me, and that me not being direct on the type of help that I want to do makes me feel the need to help everybody and their mama. And and I'm realizing that's why sometimes I feel like taking advantage of. I've realized that healing is a big part of my journey. I think I always, sorry, I was scribbling. I think I always try to help people instead of allowing them to find the solution themselves. And maybe I have a hero complex since I've never seemed to have one myself.
Can you
Um,
say that last part? That last sentence? Can you say it again?
sorry, sorry, I'm trying to reread it. Where is it? Oh, I think I always try to help people instead of allowing them to find a solution themselves. And maybe I have a hero complex since I've never seemed to have one myself. In knowing that I tried to implement, oh, in knowing that I tried to implement independence in my child and allowing her to go through her feelings, I've learned that you are not your past or situations or trauma. Yes, it built you for the person you are today, but you are not that person now. Um, Put a name on it, be clear, stand tall, take action. And then I wrote again, healing is a big part of my journey.
Love that.
Just to elaborate on that a little bit, I feel like because I'm still working through past hurt, it sort of kind of stifles what I'm supposed to do because I have self doubt. But yes, that's everything. Sorry.
So proud of you. Good job. Thank you for sharing. Very honest. Go ahead, Mimi.
Thank you for sharing, Ashley. I appreciated the candidness in that. Um, what I learned about myself and the choices that I make. I learned that some of the choices that I learned that I have a hard time sometimes with articulating um, some of these things. Like coming up with this statement was challenging because there's so much complex path that I don't share. And I feel like if people understood the complexity of it, they would understand why I fixate on some of the things that I do. Um, I, if anything, the revelation I got is that I show up I show up for people and I show up every day the way I do because um, I feel like I missed so much, growing up, in that um, I grew up in a very religious and very culturally exclusive space. So there was a lot that my spirit and that I wanted to be a part of that would have grown me that I wasn't allowed to. And because of that, like my parents had their village, they had their community, but because of how we were being raised and because, there was fear around it in terms of like they were immigrants, they were trying to survive. My father, my mom was way younger than my dad. So, there was that part of her just going along with it. And, it was a very patriarchal household, so his way went. Um, Things that would have given me certain skills was missing. And because of that, I feel like every day I'm wake up and it's like I'm trying to fix a part of that or I'm trying to catch up to something. Um, but I also realize that that can be in your head. Like, how far do you have to run before you realize that there's nothing, you're not behind, you're not still catching up. But that story can be really real in your head. And so every day you wake up trying to fix something that may have not been yours to fix. Um, and I tried again with the statement, but it really was around community building and why that's always been important to me because my upbringing isolated me. And but my parents had the support to the point that in my big age, I feel like the support that I don't know how to utilize the supports that I have around me. I stay within the fluff because it's easier than getting close to someone in a way that could be exposing or revealing of me. Um, but that sort of village and collective care and collective responsibility, like you can only get like we spoke about vulnerability earlier. It was like when you're vulnerable and then you're told you're too much or you see that you're visibly making people uncomfortable. So you don't want to do that anymore. So you retreat. But it still holds inside you and it ends up coming up as people pleasing because the version of you that you are today is, somehow not enough or not okay. And then you internalize this idea that I'm not okay. I have to improve myself. I have to tweak myself. I have to so you become your own project. You're like a consistent project. And how can you model self-love and self-acceptance, even if you say that you have it, when every day you're just like, I need to fix, I need to fix, I need to fix, I need to hide. Um, Maybe being human is not, it's messy. It's messy for all of us. And it's almost not fair to make it seem like you and your set of circumstances are like the only and the worst and the most shameful because they're not. We all have things that, we wish for different. But every day in the future is, we have to not think behind so much. You have to understand behind. And I felt like in this writing process, I was trying to justify my why with my story. Um, instead of the statement. So the statement that I redid was I build communities that replace isolation with collective responsibility, communal accountability, and belonging so that the next generation grows up with a steadier village than the last. It's a sentence. It encompasses my past without talking too much about it. And I feel like it means something more than I was trying to get to. So, yeah.
Oh my goodness, I'm so proud of y'all. It's about to make me cry. Like, this is the work right here. Like, I'm literally in tears because I felt that. But, you know, I want to make sure that I can help you get to that. I'm so proud of both of you, like, to sit and take the time to reflect with yourself. And this is why I do the work that I do. This is my why in action happening because we do not spend time with ourselves. When we spend time with ourselves, we're able to show up better in the world. And that's all that it is. And I want to say to you, like I gave Ashley the spiel, now my spirit's talking to you. It's about like now having the freedom and confidence to discern the people that you want in your life. It's not about you being messy or being too much or having to fix yourself. There's a part where, like, we talked about this yesterday, like, relationships require responsibility for the other person. So the things that you are requiring or you are desiring from your relationships are valid if the people you are around are not respecting it and not honoring it, then those are not your people. Not that there's something wrong with you, but we have to be confident enough to know that what we desire is important, that we deserve the same way that we're trying to please that next person and we're trying to give them what they want, they should want to do the same for us. And if that's not happening, I think the biggest hard part about it is it's like when it's family, when it's people that society says is supposed to be your people, and that's not happening, uncovering that, going through that grief, and then recognizing like if you were not born into that group, then you can go and find that. You can find your people elsewhere that would go. So you never have to shrink who you are at the core and what you're trying to be because other people don't understand you or don't get it. If they don't get it, that means they weren't meant to get it. I've learned this new saying. It's like you assign to who you assign to. And that was part of what built my confidence. Like, yo, like if I'm not assigned to you, what I'm saying to you is gonna sound mad annoying. You're gonna say someone talk too much, he's a nerd. Oh my gosh, you always gotta make things so deep. Oh, why I gotta be so complicated? Okay, well go find a surface level social worker. That's not me. Uh, it's even with my music. I could tell y'all that there's some people that said some real rough things about my music. You know what? I've learned to brush it off because then I've also heard other people that's like, oh my God, this was so good, this was so healing. That's what it was for. Everything you do is not for everybody, and that is okay. When you recognize that it's not for other people, you just gotta make that move and shift and be like, oh, okay, you're not my people. I don't need to give you any more of my energy. You get bare minimum cordial because you're a human and I'm a human, so I'm gonna respect you. And it's fine. But I don't need to give you any of my goodness, my gifts, my juices, my joy, the things that I do when I'm pouring into others because I know for a fact you're not pouring into me. Why am I pouring into what they call gaping holes that have no bottom, that have no end, and just sucking life out of you? Those are not healthy relationships. I was reading in Corinthians, I want to say 11. This is Second Corinthians, and it talked about God wanting equality in that if you are in a season of abundance, generosity generosity is important because whenever you're in a season of abundance, you now have responsibility to support those that are in a season of lack because there's going to be a seasons change. And then when it changes and you were in your abundance season, now you're in your lack season, your generosity receives what you're planting. So now the people that are in abundance can now fill you and cover your lack. And I needed that word from God because of the season that I'm in. I used to be the people pleaser going around. That's what season, nonprofit, people all over the place. I was doing all this stuff, covering people. People need help with their rent. People need help with this, this, that. And I was doing it because I was a single adult, no husband, no kids. So, and I had a good job. So I could do those things. But in the midst, I felt so small and like nobody cared about me. I'm strong when nobody checks on me. But being forced in this last season, being forced to talk and speak, it's shown me that there are people, but just not the people that I poured into. Now it's a different group of people that are pouring into me that I never seen before. So I didn't even see it coming or know it was possible because our brain usually focuses on what's in front of us. We're not on why. We're not on bigger picture. We're not on the all seeing and all knowing God level. We're just focused here. And sometimes our emotions get the best of us when we're just here. So, if there's people around you, like you just not, I just be like, okay, I'm not assigned to you. And sometimes that offends people and then they want to listen to me now because they feel like, what do you mean? It's just like, it's okay. You're not interested. It's fine.
I want to share something. Thank you for sharing that. I something about that stood out. Like I'm thinking about going back to like high school, when I first started building some of these strong friendships. And I was going through a lot at the time that I didn't want exposed. It was just too much for me at that time. And so I found that I seek people, like I seeked out friendships where the person talked more than I did for starters. Like they would, and for me that was I didn't have to reveal too much about what was going on. There was a lot that felt messy that I don't want to bring people into. So instead of me looking at myself, I would then pour my energy into being the type of friend that you're talking, you're sharing with me, and I can support you. So now I'm not looking at myself. I'm being there for them. And I think that's the roots of the people pleasing for me because from being an oldest sibling out of six to then looking for friendships where I would want to take care and help them with their things. And that became the value that I brought to my friendship. Um, and that became like a pattern of just attracting those type of people, people that wanted to sit and hear me and stuff like that. I wanted to, but I didn't know how to, right? But then there was a point in my life where I feel that shifted, where I started to recognize my people a lot better. I'm like, oh my, like I would recognize something deeper in them that I'm like, no, these are the type of friendships, but these were also the friendships where I wasn't the one that could help everyone and help everything, you know? It was friendships that I had to learn from. It was friendships that were mentorships. It's friendships that you know, exposed me a little bit, but that vulnerability to make those friendships worth it. But there was a learning curve in knowing how to be in those friendships because there would be that doubt. I'm used to showing up in my friendships this way, but I also recognize that those friendships don't serve me anymore. I feel burdened. I feel like I don't feel the equal, push and pull. So I now don't gravitate toward that. I gravitate toward friendships that are, we're pouring into each other, that I'm learning, that, we're able to support each other. But now it's like, how do I show up differently than I have in those friendships?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you both for sharing your reflections. That's the point of these reflections, to sit with one another. So my last question is, how did you feel about session two? This was your second official class session. You know what I'm saying? How you feeling? I love to get some feedback. What you thinking? Are you growing? You learning? What you got for me?
I'm definitely learning. Um, I feel like I might have to put down a retainer for you. Um,
That's the
uh,
goal. That's the goal.
um, but yes, it's funny because I've been with myself for as long as I've been like alive, but I feel like I'm learning more about myself than I know about myself since I've been myself. I can say that like you can think for me, you can think of this class. Well, I think of this class like as an onion. Like each session is like pulling down, pulling out, or whatever. Not to use an onion because I don't like onions myself, but just the analogy of like each class is breaking down things and then revealing something else. Because like even like before this class, even my conversations prior to you about this, I'm like, I really need to do something because it's like I can feel like the conflict within myself, but not being able to like pinpoint it or even where to start. And I can say with the classes, not even only using it. Well, after me having my child or knowing that I'm being pregnant, I'm like, I can't be a mom, and I'm like this within myself because I've known people who had parents who are like that, and the reactions that that child have towards the parent or their childhood, like the horror stories and things like that. Like I don't want that for my child, and I know that in order for me the best type of parent that I need to be, I have to be the best person for myself. And I know that the healing is needed, the push towards it. I'm not saying there's nothing that God cannot change, but I have to put my effort too. Like there are certain things that I have to put the work and effort for. Yes, He's Almighty. He can do miracles, but I have to put my effort too because the whole job is not only up to Him. I have to make the first step too. So, in taking that alongside my spirituality, I know I have to do my self work too. And with this opportunity, I know that I'll be able to at least to dive into it, dip my toes into it. Although I feel like I'm learning about myself more, but I'm really happy with this class. The second session just revealed a lot about myself that I know what I need to work on. And I know that I'm going to go back and read and then think about it, write some more stuff. But yes, thank you again. I think I'll be saying this every class. Thank you again.
Thank you, Ashley. All right, Mimi, what you got for us? What's your feedback? How you feel?
So um this is the first class that I was in person with you guys. So I really appreciated the session, Simone. I really appreciate that you didn't let me shrink away from my truth, that you keep coming back to it until we arrive at our truth. Um, because there are so many performative spaces out there that, you know, claim to help, and it's easy. Again, we wear a mask so much in life that it's easy to try to approach your life from a mask perspective, and you're not going to get anywhere genuine by doing that. um I appreciated that you pushed us for the duration of the class to really understand our why. um because people are constantly going to try to assign you a why that benefits them too. Um, I appreciate the opportunity to not just like think about myself, because I think I do that on my own a lot, but I don't do it in reflection with people enough. So I appreciate you creating the space to reflect with other people that are also, just trying to have a stronger set of solutions that are sustainable. And I feel confident that as we continue on these next few weeks, um, yeah, I feel like I'll have a stronger understanding of like how I can move around some of the obstacles that I know are blocking me, and come up with some sustainable actions for that, because you're not gonna let us just sit and dance around it. So, thank you so much for creating this, and just for being on top of us with it. Your deep style is really meaningful for this type of reflection.
I appreciate it. Yes, I'm going to be on top of you. And that last one I did, that revision was amazing. Because I'm like, yes, that is Mimi right there. Now
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
talking. So I'm so proud of that. You came out with that. All right, ladies. That was homework time. Homework time. I should have asked Ashley what the homework was, and she gets it. Yes, but here's your homework. And you find yourself experiencing frustration or lack of motivation for a responsibility that you have, I want you to take a moment to jot down, why did you take on that responsibility? In turn, we pray to talk about it next week. Just a quick example, because I remember me Lisa mentioned something about work, right? Work is a responsibility when you choose where we work. And I'm telling you that right now, I walked away from a whole career, right? So even though we feel in our soul that we don't have a choice, you always have a choice, right? So, reflecting back on the why, well, why do you work there? Why did you take that position in that specific scenario? So that you can now reflect on like your emotions, connecting what you're feeling about being misunderstood, and why being validated is significant to why you are there on this. Because once you can make the connection of like, this is why I'm here. And so because me feeling this way is impacting my why I'm here, why I wanted this job. And then that will take us into what we're going to talk about next week, which is identifying options and strategizing next steps. All right. So I want you to think about that. And then I want you guys to do a little bit of reading. It's okay. It's not too much. You guys didn't do with your homework last time, so I'm not worried. You're going to read pages 20 to 21 in your textbook. You're going to complete the affirmation page on page 23. The reflection on page 18.
Yes.
All right. So that will be easy for you guys to complete. It should not take y'all more than 30 minutes to do. And this is live action. And we'll be back next week, same time, same channel. By Monday, Tuesday, you guys get your follow-up email with the recording. Okay.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. And I'm trying to turn off the recording.